1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
What's happening, y'all? This is Andrew, and that's Coop, and this is another episode of Mirror Music. We're trying to get this going a little more frequently now. This is episode, I think, 51 of the ones we've done together. So, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Like everybody else, struggling off this hour.
Yeah.
Just slapped me in the face. I got up today. I was like, "What time is it?" I was like, "It can't be that time." I was like, "It's that time." Then I looked. Then I did what every normal person does. I went into the kitchen, saw the clock on the stove, then I looked at the clock on the phone. I was like, "Oh, it's that day."
Yeah.
Glad that it's Sunday and that I'm off and can relax. Looking out vaguely from my window, it looks like it might be a decent day outside.
It's a pretty day outside. I've been not out, but I've like gone out with the dogs and stuff like that, and it's gonna be nice, yeah.
Yeah, I let the dog out this morning. I let Woody out, but that was it. I came front. I faded on him a little bit after I let him out. I opened the door and kind of went into the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm very excited about today because we are talking about an artist that keeps on. You know, I said after listening to these sets of songs, I'm like, I think I'm officially might be a fan now.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know where you cross over from like liking somebody's music and appreciating what they do and enjoying the product, and then it goes into that realm where it's like, no, I really get down with this artist and what this artist is doing and how they're putting it together. And
I agree.
That's my macro takeaway from these songs is that she made me a fan officially. And I'm excited about her next project now because of that, like truly in the way that a fan would be excited for it. It's like, oh no, now I want to know like when it's coming out, who's producing it, what it sounds like.
Following along, yeah.
Yeah. Now I want to dig in on it. And so that's what these songs did for me on the macro level. I know we can go step by step and break them down if you like it, and if you have an overall synopsis and would like to give one, please do.
Yeah, I have my opening reaction too is actually very similar to yours. I don't know that we said directly at the beginning of this. It says it in the title, but today we're talking about Doechii, obviously. But we're gonna do a rundown a little bit of Alligator Bites Don't Heal, which just won Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys, right? I got that right. And then her two-ish new singles. One of them's technically the Blackpink Ladies' new single, but ExtraL and Anxiety, which is a song that she released like on YouTube years ago and is re-released now. We'll talk about that when we get to that. But so we're gonna go into all of that. I mean, she is very current in the both the news cycle and in making dope shit, man. Like she's making really, really good stuff. I think where I could start with this is that last year, when I was making Hip Hop Album of the Year list, I have Rhapsody first, and Please Don't Cry, which is an incredible album. I've said to all of y'all on the Hip Hop Talks team and to you 17 times. I don't know that I've ever said it publicly on this forum, but I still think that if Kendrick Lamar had made Rhapsody's Please Don't Cry, they'd be talking about it as the album of the last 20 years, probably. I think like I think it's that good. I really do. But as I was listening to, I mean, I'd listened to Alligator Bites Don't Heal a few times, but like I really dug in the last few days, like listened to it more repeatedly, and I might have gotten it wrong. Like this one actually might, because she's doing a lot of the same things, honestly, thematically and psychologically and all of those things, except she's doing it from a 25-year-old's perspective instead of Rhapsody's, who's 40-ish, I think. So yeah, like it's a really, really, really good record, I think.
I like the context that you just provided. Please Don't Cry is a masterful piece of work. Let's not mistake that. What I would tell you,
incredible.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible piece of work. I mean, Rhapsody has actually proven herself to be a very, very great album maker. She has, because now she has a few projects under her belt where I'm like, oh no, all those projects are pretty stellar. I don't know if I
Mhm.
call any of them classics, but I know that they are above the fray and
They're in that
better.
range for sure.
Yeah, they're above the fray of 85 to 90% of the hip hop that I
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
But what I would also tell you is that Alligator Bites Don't Heal by Doechii actually isn't that far behind. That's why I didn't have it too far behind on my album of the year list, because actually just splitting hairs, here's what I would tell you. You know, your take about the Kendrick Lamar, if Kendrick Lamar would make Please Don't Cry, they'd be talking about, I think they would talk about it the way they talk about To Pimp a Butterfly,
Yeah, I
actually.
agree. Yeah, absolutely they would.
So I agree with you in that context. What I would tell you is that I think if we were more familiar with Doechii than we are with Rhapsody, might put Alligator Bites Don't Heal ahead of Please Don't Cry
Yeah.
psychologically. That's how good the product is. And so
Some
I
of it
think
too, I think also is that Rhapsody's closer to our age
that's
than
what I
Doechii is,
mean. If
right?
we
Like,
were more
yeah,
acquainted with Doechii
yeah,
than we were with Rhapsody, we would probably pick Alligator Bites Don't
right.
Heal.
Because she's talking about things that Rhapsody's talking about things that we more relate to, or they're more about our time of life, I guess,
Well, the
Doechii is.
experience is okay. So even though thematically the projects are similar,
Mhm.
which is a nod to Doechii, that she
Yeah,
thematically is able to showcase the range at age
she has a
on the
huge
level of a
range on this
Rhapsody.
record, man.
Yeah. So that's a major nod to her for her artistic integrity, that she has the artistic range of one of our more established female rap contemporaries. You know, that
Yeah.
is 40-ish area. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
So that's a nod to Doechii. But what I would tell you is that we relate to the Rhapsody and Please Don't Cry more, is because Rhapsody's themes, although similar, they have it's almost like have you seen Poetic Justice?
Probably, but I mean, I know what it is, obviously, and if
There's a
I've watched it, it's been 30 years probably.
there's a scene where Maya Angelou is actually in
Mhm.
the film,
Mhm.
and she's actually talking to a young Janet Jackson and Regina King. And so I would tell you that Rhapsody's themes are very similar, and they were talking about love, and
Mhm.
you know, Regina King was expressing her version of love as a young black woman,
Right.
and Maya Angelou was telling her what love really looked like. And so I would tell you these albums probably have the reflection of that scene in the movie,
Mhm.
where like Rhapsody comes off more of a Maya Angelou on Please Don't Cry, because she's a wise sage at this
Right.
point in terms of not just the rap game, but life experiences.
Yeah, of course.
And Doechii is more of the Regina King character, a little bit more sassy, immature, but also an accurate representation of maybe the archetype of black love from a young black female's perspective in the community. And so,
And still remarkably wise for being that age too. Like, I mean, she
yes,
has
and
a lot. She's clearly done a lot of work to get
I
to
would
this point.
say, I would say, I don't know if I would call it wise, but she's very insightful.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Wise. I respectfully would have. Like I'm thinking of myself when I was 25 or 20. Like I wasn't. No, not even close. Like no, I don't think anybody is really.
Right.
So,
Wisdom is something that's very hard to attain. It's not necessarily an age thing, but it is an experience thing.
experience.
And when you are at that age, I'm very few people have enough experiences, I think, in worldliness to be called wise.
Right. Fair. Right.
Yeah.
So where do you want to dig into this record, man? Like there's so many different things going on here. Do you have any notes you want to start with?
My consensus, now that I've given you my consensus opinion about the music and how it's made me a fan, I'm going to give you of the artist and the music and how it's
Right.
made me a fan. I explained more of the musical side of it. Let me
Yeah.
explain the artist side of it to you, of what I really enjoyed and what I really
Okay.
heard. I heard somebody, you know, when you're a young artist or a younger artist, you tend to be able to hear where the inspiration is coming from
Hmm.
with an artist.
Right.
The hardest thing for an artist to do is to pull inspiration, as a younger artist, in my opinion, is to pull that
Hmm.
inspiration from multiple places and still have an identifiable
Yeah.
voice. And that's what was so remarkable about this to me,
Yep.
because, well, here's what she does. Thematically, she is very much rangy like a Kendrick Lamar, like a Rhapsody. So
Hmm.
she has range, and so she checks that box in terms of range. But she is also very catchy and very
Hmm.
sing-songy and melodic, like a Drake.
Yep.
But she also can slide effortlessly, like rap-wise, over a beat, like a J. Cole.
Hmm.
She obviously is a Nicki Minaj fan. The
Right.
vocal inflections and everything is straight out of Nicki's handbook. And so you can hear where she literally have pulled from the greatest artists of the generation that she probably grew up in. Because you got to think, when Nicki's making Pink Friday and Kendrick's making Good Kid, Mad City, and Cole's making Friday Night Lights and Forest Hills and To Pimp a Butterfly, well, Doechii's like 12, 13, 14, 15.
Hmm. Maybe even
And
younger than that for some of them. Yeah.
Nate, if you're reading This Is Too Late by Drake, like when
Yeah.
all that music is coming out, I hear that artist because she's like 25, 26, right?
She just turned 26, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so that music is about 10, 12. Yeah, she was about 10, 12, about 10, 11, 12, 13 years old when that music was coming out. You can hear it.
So yeah.
You can hear the components of I hear the Kendrick, Drake, Cole, and Nicki.
Yeah.
But if you look at how old she is, it's like, well, that's when they became big major time artists in her early formative years.
You know, and how old were we when Illmatic came out? And how old were
Correct.
we when the
13
Purple
years
Tape came out?
old. Yeah,
How old
right.
were, yeah, exactly. And Doggy Style,
Correct.
like all of those. That's
Right.
why we're
12,
sitting here,
11,
right?
12, 13, 14. Right.
Yeah.
15.
So
Yeah. So
Automatic
she
for the People by REM, like that's like all
yeah.
of Nirvana's Nevermind was then. I mean, like all of
Yep.
them were when we were
Yep.
that age-ish, right? So
Yes.
it's the music that sticks.
Correct. So I can hear all of that, but through all of that, I still hear an artist with their own voice. And that is the
Yeah.
hardest thing for a young artist to do. And she does that part of it remarkably well, where I can hear her stylistically, thematically, lyrically, vocally doing all these things that are complementary imitations of her idols, probably.
Hmm.
But I still hear her.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like her. I hear Missy in there too, actually. There's a little
I,
bit of that
I
feeling
can,
to it. Yeah.
Okay, so even down to some of the artistic structure, when I'm looking
Hmm.
at the song titles of all her stuff, I'm like, well, that's Outcast.
Yeah. And there was one, I don't
And
remember which song it was that I was just listening
she's
to.
from Florida, and
Yeah.
she's from Florida, so it's like, oh no, I can see like the Outcast in it too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't remember what song it was. I was just listening to it right before that. And there was a melody, like just a line that called back to one of the Speaker Box Love Below songs, and I can't place it now. But they're like little flashes,
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying with of Nicki and Drake and of all of them, like there are little flashes of them, but like it comes together to become a new thing. Not to get too deep in the teacher weeds, but that's the postmodern thing, right? You take bits of stuff from all over the place and put them together in a new way and become something else. And that's how artists have always worked. But
I'm about to say, yeah, I think that's what you do. I mean, like, see, I mean, you know this, like as a young artist, you want to figure out what your favorite artist is doing and how to do it.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
just it's literally that simple. You want to be like your favorite artist. It's why it's why people do it. To be honest with you, it's like they want to be like their idols. It's why Kobe like imitates all of Mike's moves. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
for
So
sure.
that's just part of the game. It's just some do it better than others. She just does it remarkably
Yeah,
well.
she
Yeah,
has
like
an
like like
ear.
like
Yeah.
like what she's doing. Oh, there are literally, listen, hundreds of thousands
Hmm.
of artists that in these past 5 to 7 years have been trying to pull off what she is pulling off successfully. That
Repeatedly too.
right, that is the difference. And so when people from our get off my lawn era tell me that, today's crop of artists isn't up to par, to say it respectably, because that's definitely not how it gets said to me.
No, not to me either. Yeah.
Yeah. What I would tell them is that, well, there's still artists like this
Hmm.
that rise to the top. And we have to kind of pay attention to those artists and highlight those artists when they come around. Because it's
Right.
not, I mean, I understand the premise of what they're saying, but it's not all bad. But they're also
No.
coming from the perspective of somebody that's, like I said, being that 13-year-old in 1994 that literally had Doggy Style, Enter the Wu Tang, and Midnight Marauders just came out,
Yep.
then led directly into Illmatic, Southern Playalistic, and Ready to Die. It's like, well, that's 6 all-time great albums in less than 10 months.
Yep. Yeah.
So when that
And
becomes
they're
your
stylistically different too, right?
yes,
So,
all stylistically different.
mhm.
And all classic albums for various ways. All of those albums are 5 out of 5 to me for different
Yeah.
reasons. And so when that becomes your expectation as a hip hop listener at a young age, well, it's easy to say, oh, well, these kids suck because you're not getting that, but you do get a Doechii out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's stuff out there, and she's better than the most. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
She's a viable commodity out here right now, and I
Yeah.
really
She
want her to be.
also connecting to what you just said though, that we also that music that we listened to or came out when we were 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, it like dyes itself to our brains, right? So
Mhm.
like we're also not only I think people are saying new music sucks because it's not as good perhaps, but also they're saying it because it doesn't sound like what their version of excellence is, I guess
I
is what I
think I
mean.
think I think R&B and popular rock music has taken more of a dive than hip hop has
Yeah,
in that regard. If you really want to know the truth,
it
because
has. I mean,
I can't
it's
remember
hard to
the
find a
last.
good rock album now, really.
Yeah, I mean, as far as classic R&B albums go, I mean, in the last few years, I mean, you could say like the SZA album and the Her album, and that's like maybe 2 albums in the last 5 years that come out of R&B that you could say that might be a classic, and
Hmm.
that's more sad than even what's going on in rap. But
I really wanted to get into this actually because R&B is dead is one of the I almost made a T-shirt for Hip Hop Talks that said R&B is dead, like just as a tagline because you guys say it all the time. But um,
it's not dead. That's not fair to people. So that's not fair
I
to
don't think
the
it's true either. But like,
it's not fair to her and Chris Brown and SZA and them like to be saying that. It's just it's lack
it is
R and B
lacking.
is R&B is lacking emotional depth in real love songs. It's rhythm and blues. It's like it's based on like something soulful, something loving, something given, and it's
Mhm.
becoming so manufactured now.
Yeah,
And it's all, you know, you know, it's one big Pornhub video now. So I
mhm,
mean,
yeah,
you know, like there's no even like nobody's trying to make Footsteps in the Dark by the Isley Brothers is the
right.
problem. Like nobody's
Okay.
trying to make that record. Like they think that these records that they're making are it, and it's like, oh no, that's not
No,
it.
there's tr- I don't. This is a get off my lawn point, but like true R&B music is there is subtlety to it. Even in like sexual healing, there's subtlety to it.
Yes,
Like,
yes. So I was just listening last night to this Her song with Bryson Tiller called "We Could Have Been,"
mhm,
and it's like one of my favorite songs of the last 10 years because it's so subtly sexy.
mhm.
It's not
That's what
overbearing.
we grew up on, right? I mean, no,
It's not.
being silly, but yeah,
It's not trying too hard to be
yeah,
something. It's just no. It's just a smooth, sexy ass groove. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's okay to just have that. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? It don't have to be this big orchestrated fuck show. So
No, seriously though,
no,
coming
seriously.
coming back around to it though, I think that I see more R&B styled songs as part of albums like Alligator Bites. Like there are songs on here where she's not rapping at all, and there are songs where she's just singing. Like so,
That's the
I
Drake part
don't
of
see as many like pure R&B albums from front to back, but I do see songs like like the last 3 or 4 of them all were like pretty sung,
yeah,
and the
like
Beverly Hills Woman.
Nissan
Yeah.
Altima. I love Nissan
Oh,
Altima.
that song is that's another point. I don't want to get too far off the R&B thing for a second, but she's got a great ear for singles, or whoever's picking them has a great ear for singles. Um,
Mhm.
like
Got the
it
soul
was
pack.
one of those things where I listened to the album the first time, or the first time in a while, and like Denial is a River jumps out, the Boiled Peanuts song jumps out, and Nissan Altima jumps out. Like those are the ones that
Mhm.
catch my ear. And then I look on like Spotify or YouTube Music or whatever, and those have
Those
like
are the ones
15
that are
million
moving.
views. Those are
Right.
the ones that are way above. So like
Mhm.
they're picking the right songs.
And
The
you're not
ones that
being confused, and you're not being confused musically by what you're hearing either. It's
no,
like, oh no, them records are like that.
yeah, they are absolutely they are. Yeah, yeah, man, they're huge. I mean, like it's obvious why they became such big records. Like it
Right.
is. You can like
Right.
I am not. I mean, I'm much more of a hip hop um knowledge haver, I guess, now than I was 3 years ago. But like even I can tell immediately that those songs are huge,
Winners.
huge songs.
Those
Yeah,
are winners.
you
Yeah.
hear it in like 3 bars, like oh oh oh
You're
oh
like,
oh
yeah.
oh.
You're like, yeah. That's yeah. This song is winning. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
hmm So yeah. So the album of the year by the Grammys, well deserved.
yeah. Absolutely, it is.
Like here's how I look at it. I look at it like on that bell-shaped curve,
Hmm.
and you have your aggregated data and you input the data,
Hmm.
and it's like, well, on my bell-shaped curve, this was one of the 5 best rap albums last year, in my
Yeah,
opinion. And so, them picking it for album of the year, it's like, well, on that bell-shaped curve, it's like, no, 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 that falls right in my line with my data to be in the top percentile. You could split hairs about it being
yeah,
maybe a couple other albums. You can do that almost every year with every album. I
yeah,
think we found that when we started doing some of our Grammy rundowns, which I
yeah.
think we need to get back to.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to do another Grammy rundown too. I was looking at one of our Grammy rundown shows, and I was like, man, that was really dope.
It was.
We should get back on
We're
that.
guys on Mirror Music. We're trying to not find our lane, but I mean, our lane is talking about any music whenever we want to. But like, find things that like something that people want to watch, but also stuff that we like talking about too. Like,
I don't know. I think the fact that we have so many lanes is what makes it so
yeah,
fun, though. That we can
yeah,
just kind of pull up and do a variety of things with the
hmm,
music. That's part of the beautiful thing about it.
yeah.
Is that like like when we had that? That's the one I was watching when we were having that Joshua Tree and Sign of the
Oh yeah.
Times conversation. I was just like, man, I'm like, this is really great. Like
And
music.
nobody else out in any of these spaces could have that conversation.
Yeah,
Like
nobody's
conversation,
having. No, nobody's
and
having.
they're not having it either. So
No, nobody's having the conversations that we're having. I really enjoy what we're doing, and I really do want more people to watch because I think they are. If they're not following us and clicking like and subscribe and share, and all those things, if they're not doing that, I think they are really missing out on some of like the best musical commentary in the independent space right now because that is
I do
something
think
to
so.
provide. Yeah.
Not say that arrogantly, but like for real.
No, I mean,
I think we're good at what we're doing.
even when I watch your Deadhead breakdowns and like all that stuff, I'm like, no, I'm like, this is really good stuff.
Mhm. It's
Yeah.
interesting, and I love that I'm coming like my space in mirror music particularly, but like anything that I'm doing on YouTube really is as a not a novice, but like as somebody who's coming to things that I'm not an expert in and trying to provide some context and telling you what I hear as I'm not a musical expert by a long shot, but like I do know a good bit and I do have a wide range of not like about different stuff. So I like coming to stuff like to music that I haven't heard before that I'm not like an expert in
Mhm.
and like seeing what I hear. Like that's fun for me. So
Right.
I think that's
It's
a
a journey.
valuable perspective.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's fun to publicize that. Like it's fun to like I mean, not to get too far out of left field out from our Doechii conversation, but like when I started doing the Grateful Dead series a year and a half almost ago now, like I didn't know anything about them really. I mean, I knew they were a bunch of pothead hippies and I knew all the stereotypes, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I have gained a tremendous amount of appreciation for their craft and their musicality. And this is not just guys kind of dicking around or whatever. These are like serious musicians. Also enjoying like listening to Bad Bunny, and I'm also listening to Doechii. Like I'm enjoying this kind of stuff too, right? Like these are yeah, like we said you said at the beginning, like we're trying not to be get off our lawn types all the time anyway, right? Like I want to. There is good music now. There's not radio stations in the same kind of way that kind of filter it for us, so we have to do the filtering ourselves more so, I think.
Some of the problem that people do have with today's musical climate is the fact that you have to do more of the lifting than you ever did.
Yeah.
As in, like, no, you have to actually take the time to go find an artist, or you have to let the algorithm play past your playlist and let other stuff play on it, and you might catch something or find something, and that's okay. It's just some people don't, quite frankly, want to do the work. They're like, oh no, this is supposed to be just kind of handed to me. And you can't knock some of those people that feel that way because they grew up in a generation where it was just handed to them and they don't want to change. But, I feel like the people who are meant to be here, people who adapt and survive the best. And so that's why for me, it's like, covering somebody like a Doechii is, exciting to me because it's like, well, as a music lover, I don't just want to be in love with the music that I had to listen to, via my mother and my aunts growing up, and the music that I chose to take on growing up. I would like to, know what's going on today. Yeah. So, which one of these Doechii singles do you want to talk about first?
I think probably the ExtraL one, just because it was the one that came out first. Well, in the current cycle, came out first.
That shit is catchy.
It is, right? It is.
Like it.
I mean, it's a
banger.
It's a Destiny's Child thing, right? I mean, it's the girls run the world, who run the world, girl. Like it's that song, but it is a banger. Like, and I tried to text I did text the Hip Hop Talk group chat. It said like we should either you and I or you all or somebody needs to talk about this because this is going to be a huge deal. Like it's
I might do a personal music reaction to it because it's checking. That's what I mean. She's I didn't hear the Drake in her music until this spin of songs, and I'm like, oh no, she's super melodic and catchy, and it's like I already knew she could sing, but it's like
I didn't know she could sing like that though. I didn't know that.
Correct, and also, I mean, the catchiness of it. I'm like, oh no, this is catchy. I like this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was
and in a marketing sense of the word too, doing a single that's like half her on the, I don't know if it's the first solo album, but a solo album from the lead singer of one of the biggest K-pop groups in the world is a pretty smart move, as just in a purely financial sense, even outside of the musical sense. Like, the verse is killer and the song is killer, but like as a business thing, that's also a really
what I mean about that's what I mean about checking all the boxes, Andrew. It's like, oh no, they know, like her and her team, they know exactly what they are doing. They are making the right records for this crowd. They are business wise putting things together and putting artists together to garner more streams, more attention, more money. And the beautiful part about it when it comes together like this is the music is actually there.
Yeah, amen. That's the point, right? Like it's the songs are good. The songs are good.
Yes, it's gonna stick because, well, so back to her being different and the difference between being talented and being gifted, like AG was saying on Hip Hop Talks. Well, she's gifted because, well, there are so many artists that are trying to do stuff like this,
just aren't.
just not sounding as good at the end of the day. And when you have your business together and the machine is working properly and your team behind you is making the right decisions, and the music at the end of the day reflects it. It's like, oh no,
and you can sing and you can rap. Like she can,
and you're insightful and thought provoking and addressing and
funny too.
And this is what I mean for this generation. It's like, oh no, anxiety is perfect for this generation. It's a perfect record for an artist like her for this generation to become more attached to her. It fits. My shady thoughts were, You see, this is what Kendrick Shitty, little Mr. Morale, and the Mid-Steppers album should have sounded like with all that
All
bullshit
of this
mental
album
health
is
therapy.
all the Alligator Bites one too. Like I mean, it's that
Yeah,
kind of like
Alligator
one
Bites
of
and
one,
please, how about this? Alligator Bites and Please Don't Cry is the double album Kendrick Lamar should have made with Mr. Morale.
Yep. No, the one of my notes actually for Alligator Bites is that basically all of those songs could have been singles. I mean, Denial and the Nissan Altima are the obvious ones, right? I mean, they're probably a step above, like as far as catchiness goes, but like I could hear every single one of those. There's what 17 songs or something like that. I mean, I could hear every single one of them on the radio, or
Yeah.
not every single one, but like the vast
No, I get what
majority
you're
of them.
saying. She's
Like,
she is successfully making viable records that could be played in different musical formats to garner streams, whether it be radio, club, YouTube, just concrete core following. She's checking a lot of boxes, like musically and business wise. She is checking so many boxes.
yeah, but it the hard thing to do, as actually you've had these conversations on Hip Hop Talks about other things recently too. The hard thing to do is not just do an album that has one for the ladies and one for the club and one for the and one for like checking all those boxes in a business sense, but also it holds together as an actual album. Like it sounds like it's meant to be played together. It's meant to be played together in that order too. Like so there's some thought involved in that too. It's not just I'm just checking I've got this song, I got the club song, I got the girl song, I got the it's not just that.
I mean, there is some Alligator Bites does have some Good Kid, Mad City to it. Not saying it's on the level of Good Kid, Mad City because it's not, but in terms of you becoming acquainted with an artist and being like, wow, look at how this artist paints the picture of their world for you.
Yeah.
Has the first time that you're really getting truly acquainted with their world. As much as everybody like talks about Section 80, not everybody was acquainted with Section 80.
Right.
So Good Kid, Mad City is his coming out party. Alligator Bites Don't Heal is her coming out party. And it's one of the more beautiful coming out parties is when you're hearing an artist that you like, oh, this is somebody I'm probably going to be listening to for the next 15 years.
Yeah. She's not going away.
You usually don't get that anymore. You don't get an album from an artist anymore that makes you feel like, oh no, this motherfucker's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're about to be around.
There's a lot of ones that I've heard that I've been like, oh, this is all right, right? Like this one, but like I'm not sure how it's going to hold up, or how the follow up is going to hold up. But this comes off as like a lady that's got lots of ideas.
Like so even with this, it's like, oh no, I can remember Chris Brown's first album. I was like, yeah, it's like he's about to be around for like 20, 30 years. And it's like, well, that was like 20 years ago. And it's like now he's the man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh no, it's like, yeah, first album. I see, when you know. And so she has that. And so there is some separation between her and a lot of the new artists that you're hearing. She is somebody that's going to be here for a while.
Yeah. The Anxiety single, to come back to it too, like there are tons of genius things about it. I mean, obviously,
beautiful record.
It's a great record. It is. I mean, the genealogy of it, I think, if I read this correctly, is that she made that song, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, maybe, and put it out on YouTube, and then somebody else, I don't remember who it was, somebody else sampled it, and she sang the hook on it, but the other person wrote verses for it. And now she's re-releasing present day the one that she did originally, right? I think that's the right genealogy.
Yeah, okay. So when I found that out about the record, I went back to a personal thought that I had when I had a conversation with Black Rob's manager, and this is probably, God, it's 15 years ago, and he was like, nobody knows the shit's old except for you and your team.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows except for you and your team that it's old. So it's like, well, even though she did it 6, 7 years ago, oh no, it's fresh to you. That's like
And it
Prince did.
sounds good too. Like,
That's like Prince did. If I could never take the place of your man in 1979, we didn't hear it till 1987. You know,
oh,
nobody knows but you and your team. So
yeah.
when it's great, it's great, and that's what I mean. Is it's like, well, that goes back to that gifted shit, Andrew. Because that's what I'm saying. Is it's like, oh no, she had a record like that 6 or 7 years ago.
Which would have been when she was a teenager.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And she's obviously sampling Somebody I Used to Know by Doechii, which is one of the biggest songs of any genre in the last 10 years, probably, or 15 years, or whenever it came out. But like, even if you said Somebody I Used to Know and somebody didn't know what you were talking about, there's not
If you
any
played it,
there's not any sentient being that's been alive in the last whatever in the Western world, at least, that wouldn't recognize it if they heard it, because it plays in commercials, it plays in the grocery store, it plays everywhere. Like, you hear people doing it for auditions on American Idol. You hear, like, it's everywhere.
are you gonna play today? Are you
Yeah,
playing?
I'm gonna play some. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know.
yeah, I'm gonna get because I want to talk about like the chord, what she's got going on there too. But um, I'll come to that in a second. The song Anxiety specifically has like 3 or 4 hooks in it. It feels like. I mean, there's like singing along. It reminds me.
I feel there's
Alternately,
one
as
mix.
I've listened to it, it has reminded me both. As I've heard Adele in there, I've heard Gaga, I've heard Amy Winehouse. Like, there's some of that in there too. It's not just. It doesn't sound exactly like any of them, but it is kind of
I
hitting
feel
those
like
boxes too.
I feel like are those hooks or are those bridges?
I mean, there's a bridge too, but I mean,
Because I feel like there's a hook,
as
a
far
sub
as
hook,
far as
and
like the
two
song
bridges.
structure, if you're getting in the weeds about it, yes, I mean, some of them are verses, some of them are hooks, some of them are bridges. Like yes, like physically in the song structure it is. But as far as like, you can also think of it as things that catch your attention too. And like, all of them could almost function as choruses,
There,
even though they're not in the song functioning as choruses.
if okay, so I was always taught the purpose of a hook is literally to reel you in, like
Yeah,
fishing. Hook, reel
right.
you in. And so from that perspective, oh, the song is just really a song full of hooks because it all reels you in
That's what I meant.
for a
Yeah.
variety of reasons. If you
That's a
mean that
Beatles thing. Like, the Beatles do that.
stylistically speaking,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. The Beatles do that. Yeah, I think it's hard for somebody to do that in a rap format just
It
because it
is. It's very hard.
requires so much rhyming, hence
Mhm.
the melodic nature of the record.
Mhm.
Because it's hard to rhyme that much and the switch speeds like that.
It's respectfully also really hard to have all of those skills in one person. Like there's not many people that can do all of those things. Lauryn Hill can. Like, I mean, it's a really short list of people who can sing and rap and have an ear for songs and like, there's a lot of ands involved in being able to do that.
I mean, I don't want to contrive it to just that, but as far as the crop of female MCs go, it's been a minute since somebody to me has been this quality and also had star quality to go
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I might have to go back to Nicki, and I
Yeah.
never totally felt that way about Nicki, but I always understood why everybody else did. Well, her
Yeah.
early shit was super dope to me. Um, but yeah, we have to go back to Nicki, to somebody that I felt like it's like, oh no, they are really dope as fuck as an artist
Yeah.
and also a star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Doechii could be a rapper, just a rapper if she wanted to be. Like, she has enough chops to do that. And she
And
could just
here's
be a
the thing.
singer if she wanted to
And,
be it.
and here's the thing. Unlike Nicki came in on some rap shit,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then she switched up. Doechii's coming in with the whole
All the
bag being
bags.
versatile
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
Like, she's coming in with all the different bags in hand. Like that's what I
Mhm.
mean. It's like, oh no, she's coming in with her J. Cole like superhero rap shit. She's coming in with her Drake hooks and melodies. She's coming in with her Kendrick themes. She's coming in with her Nicki voices. She's coming in with her Outcast level, like song completion and song structure and song titling. Like,
And
she's
album
coming,
structure too, yeah.
and album structure. Yeah, she's coming with all of these things in tow. Like
Yeah.
that's what I mean about it being different. And it's like it was even tough for me to say Nikki because it's like, well, actually, you might have to go to Missy.
Yeah. Missy is the first one that I thought of. And like, I mean, I know Nikki obviously, but I'm not as familiar with her music. But the first few songs on here, I was like that, like, because there's a sense of weirdness too, not just
I
and
just
not in a
mean,
bad way at all, but it's just like kind of like
no,
out of outer space kind of weirdness.
it's a healthy weird. It's a
Yeah.
funky weird. But this is what
Yeah.
I mean about somebody coming to the table and you're like, man, they do so many things extremely well already. Like,
Yeah.
how's this about to go? And we've seen how it went for Missy. It went wonderful.
Yes, it did. Still is, in fact. Yeah. Like
Yeah. So,
Missy can do whatever
I
she
think,
wants.
I think Missy might be the best comp in terms of
Yeah.
who she is, in terms of an artist that we've seen. We haven't seen anything like this since Missy, probably.
Yeah, and it makes you, or that's coming back full circle, like it makes me interested in what she's going to do next, because like with a lot of artists of any genre, you kind of have a sense of where they're going next. Like they're the things that they're able to do is a pretty narrow band relative to the
Right.
rest of music. And this woman can do maybe not every single thing, but many, many, many things. So like
You and I
who
talk.
the
She
hell
comes
knows
off.
where she's
You and
going
I
next?
talk behind the scenes. She comes off as very classically trained already,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Like
in all the things.
yeah, and there's no way. I mean, I don't want to be a white man on the internet saying that this young lady sounds articulate, because that's not how I mean it. But like, it's the
She's thought
enunciation.
provoking.
She's both thought provoking, but her like the actual quality of her speech is sharper and more precisely pronounced than almost any pop artist of any color, of any like
No,
she
that's
sounds
what
like she has been an actress. Like she's
that's what
got
I
that
mean about.
kind of
No, that's what I mean,
training to
Andrew.
her.
When I say she's classically trained,
Yeah,
you can hear it in the way she speaks.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not a black or white thing. That's a training thing.
Yeah, but people say like if somebody says you're very articulate, that's like you're not expecting them to be like that's not a thing. Obviously, you and I know that, but I have to say that out loud for like the wider populace. But like the actual quality of her speech, not what she's saying, though what she's saying is awesome too. Like like her actual pronunciation is sounds like somebody who's taken vocal like speech lessons.
Mhm.
Like it's actual.
She feels
She's
like
trained to be an actress.
I feel like she's somebody that was probably like in an art school academy,
Yeah.
like sing,
It's that
dance,
kind of thing.
acting. Remember what was it, Northwest up on Beatty's Ford?
Yeah.
I feel like she went to one of those schools.
Yeah. That's certainly what it sounds like.
Hmm.
I mean, it is, because oftentimes that's a thing that you're born with, but also it's a thing that you have to like
Well,
train to. You have to have both.
it's something that you're born with, but still has to be nurtured properly.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so it might just be that she's not only like gifted but classically trained and properly nurtured, and is now reaping the benefits of
Yeah.
all the hard work and all of those things coming in tow.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She's a, for those of you who are, I don't know if there anybody would be watching this that's not really tapped into Alligator Bites or to these new singles, ExtraL or Anxiety. You should. They're really, really, really good. Like they're definitely from the perspective of a 25, 26-year-old woman, for sure. But like um they're remarkably, remarkably catchy,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Like they're um I want to play you something here. Um this is I don't want to have like Andrew plays guitar versions of all of these shows, but
No,
I
no, I'm
do
cool with it. I like a little guitar. Look
I
at who
do
my
think
favorite artist is.
yeah, he means Prince. For those of you who don't know, everybody watching this
Yeah,
probably knows,
if
but
you're
like
not, if you can't see all of the Prince albums lined up,
yeah, like
the
yeah,
background.
you should yeah. You probably could figure that out even if you didn't know already. But um no, this is I'm going to talk about Anxiety a little bit. And I think we should have a segment on Mirror Music episodes most of the time where we like dig into the weeds of like the musicality of something too, whether like
Oh,
this
yeah.
or like you say all the time on Hip Hop Talks things like um he's rapping on top of the beat or whatever, and I don't necessarily know exactly what that means. So I that this is not the forum right now to go into that conversation, but there are things like that I would like to ask you that I don't know. I can kind of figure it out, but have somebody who actually knows what the hell they're talking about explain it to me would be cool.
It's one of those, we will have that dialogue and that discussion, and it's one of those things that is easier to explain stylistically when an artist transitions from rapping over to rapping, weaving in between. The Notorious B.I.G. would be a big example of that.
Okay,
Of
good.
somebody
I would like to learn how to do that. Like I
yeah.
recognize that language, like you, because you've used it a ton, and I sort of know what you mean, but not exactly. So I would be interested. That's just an example of something that I would like to learn.
Yes, and there
And
is some
that's where this channel
musicality that
starts, right? Is it starts with the idea of a musical exchange, right? Of
right. And
where.
there is some musicality to that when I'm talking about somebody that raps on top of the beat
Mhm.
in terms of inside of the beat. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing when you're rapping on top of the beat. It's just
Yeah,
a different nuance when you're rapping and you're
right,
weaving.
exactly. And I don't, and I just want to be able to. What I would like to be able to do is hear that when it's happening, like without you. Does that make sense? Like I want to be able to pick
Go
that out for myself.
okay, go listen to Machine Gun Funk by
Okay.
Biggie, and then go listen to One More Chance, and that's the difference.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
do that. So the chord structure that, well, somebody that I used to know slash she's using anxiety is one of the most famous ones. That's used over and over and over and over and over again in pop rock music. It's just like an A minor to G. So it's now and then. I don't know the words of the song. Together, right? Right. It's just that over and over, and then in the
Hmm.
chorus it goes. It has it adds an F to it. So that's just A minor to G. This is just right. It's just that over and over again in the chorus part.
Right. It's
Um,
just looping that.
it's
Yeah.
just, so it's a really simple song to play. It's not an easy one to sing because, as you can probably hear by me fucking up the vocals just now, like where the melody fits alongside is
Easy to play, hard to catch.
yeah. It's hard to sing and play at the same time. How about that?
Hmm.
Um, it's less hard to just sing and it's less hard to just play, but it's hard to do both. But that just this basic the A to G is just it's just really just two notes. It's just two notes playing. But
Hmm.
like Tom Petty's breakdown does it. Like it's a little swing to it. It's all right if you love me. It's all right if you don't. There we go. I'm not afraid of you. Oh, that's a Tom Petty song, and this right. That's the you recognize that melody line to it,
Hmm.
and the chorus actually does the same thing that Somebody I Used to Know does. It's baby, break down, go ahead and give it to me. Break down and take me through the night. Break down. I gotta have a ear monitoring so I can hear what I'm playing and sing at the same time. Sorry for fucking up the vocals, but it's the same idea, right?
Right.
Like Grateful Dead's "Fire on the Mountain" does is just A to G, right?
Right. No. Okay. So
Fire
you
on the
know,
mountain.
I've heard that chord progression so many
Yeah,
times. I just didn't know the technical term. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because I've heard it in countless songs, and that's one of the things that I've learned from you. Is you're like, you're like most of these songs start off about 2, 3, or 4 ways.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you have it in like must be some kind of way out of here. Said the Joker to the thief. It's in Watchtower. It's in And as we wind on down the road
And everything.
and shadows taller. It's in the
It's in the
it's like
grits. It's in the eggs. It's
right.
in the
It's
potatoes.
everywhere, right? It's everywhere. So I just wanted to show that. I'm sorry, I did not sing it great, but like I'm not here to sing. I'm here to show commentary. So, um, I just wanted you to see, and the bigger point of that, other than that it's cool, is that when songs become famous, many times it's because they remind you of something else, even subconsciously, that you don't really like know that you're hearing that, but it's pulling on things that you recognize. And you're and you're or my ear like catches them. We talked about this in the last episode, or Ellie Dalla last week. Um, that the "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky" is the Hendrix,
Mhm.
the Purple Haze hook. It comes from his also song Bushido, or is used in Bushido. Like it took me like almost a week worth of listening to that song to recognize, like, wait, that's, but I was like attracted to it or pulled in by it, even though I didn't immediately recognize that that was what was
Mhm.
happening, right? So, this is an example of she's doing this. Doechii does it like on two different levels because she's directly sampling a really, 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 really famous contemporary song, right? To somebody that I used to know. But that song is also pulling from like a whole history of,
Right.
and those are like some of the most famous ones, but there are like thousands of them, right?
Mhm.
So it touches that neuron in your brain, or in my brain anyway.
And when you explain these chord progressions, it makes me understand how important the songwriting for these songs is, because what you're saying is that rhythmically and timing wise, all very similar,
Hmm.
and that's where the vocalist and the writing comes
Yeah.
in. And
Because
the
obviously the vocal of all of those songs is very different, and the way
yeah.
it's put together, and the rhythm of the way the chords are played is a little different too. But just the progression, like the actual notes that are being played, I guess,
Hmm.
are very similar. So you can do lots of things with them. So I thought that was something that I recognized, because I'd never thought about that as part of somebody that I used to know, and obviously I've known that song for a while. Um, when I was listening to it in Anxiety, I was like, wait, that's just those two, like. And one of the other things this show has done for me, even as a guitar player and even as a music fan of rock and roll music or whatever indie music, um, it sharpened my ear for hearing things like that
Hmm.
as well. Like I'm starting to hear, like, wait, that's this, right? Like I'm starting to,
Right.
even I'm starting to make more connections as well.
I'm starting to realize that there's a lineage to a lot of these chord progressions. And
Mhm.
so even if I hear something that I can't necessarily identify immediately, I'll be like, no, I'm like, that's coming from somewhere else,
Yeah.
you know? And I can identify that part of it now when I hear stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
This is coming back all the way back to Alligator Bites, because I wanted to ask you that and we didn't get to it at that point. Is the song "Wait"? Is that like a sample or a remake of something? It sounds very familiar. Do you know what song I'm talking about?
No,
Um,
not I'd have to
um,
listen to see.
I, I I didn't write down the lyric to that, so I could sing it to you. But those of you in the comments who are listening to this, the song "Wait" from Alligator Bites Don't Heal, is that like a sample from something or a remake of something? Because it sounds very, very like 90s R&B kind of familiar. Like I'm
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that I think that might be let me go listen to the record again. I'll tell you
okay,
what it's.
like because I don't know what it is. I've learned now, I think, enough to say, oh, that is another thing, but not. I can't put my finger on it, and I
Can
didn't look it up
identify where it's
either.
coming from. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, also too, a great sample shouldn't be so easy to identify, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah,
You should kind of be like, hold on, wait, like what, like hold
yeah,
on. I think I'm hearing what I'm hearing, but like, am I hearing that?
yeah,
It should play with your mind a little bit, you know?
yeah. So the I don't want to get out here. This might connect to our next episode. I don't know what we're going to do next. There's a couple ways we could go to for like a next episode. Um, but one of the things that one of the, I don't know if it's a Missy thing, but like one of the things that I loved about the Denial is a River song, particularly, I mean, I loved lots of parts about it, was how she uses like a breathing exercise at the end as
Hmm.
a like scratching almost, right?
Hmm.
Like it's really, really, really cool.
No,
I love that sound.
that's what I mean. There's something even about her modern day approach. She approaches um, the song structure from a mental health awareness standpoint
Mhm.
that really is going to resonate with this. Well, already has resonated with this
Yeah.
generation.
It's
That's what I
not
mean
just
about
yeah.
she's that's what I mean about like, well, she's even in pocket with the times. You know what I'm saying? Because even
Mhm.
when she's doing her quote unquote artistic, you know, that artistic intangible thing that we like about an artist. Even when she's doing that, it's still catching because she's doing it under a format that the generation relates to. Yeah.
And I mean, she has another song on there. She's not exactly making fun of boom bap, but people asking her to do that, like she's kind of poking fun at it a little bit. And but she's
She's kind
doing
of,
things. She's doing things like the Denials River outro, where she's scratching, but she's modernizing it. So she's using those
yeah,
checkpoints,
she's
but
kind of
not
like, don't ask me in 2025 to be 1995. That's really
right.
what she's saying.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
I think it's more tongue in cheek.
Yeah, and I know it's not. I guess maybe this is a different. Like when I say making fun of,
Yeah.
like I'm not like saying it. I don't think she's doing it as an insult at all. I think she's doing
No,
it just kind of like
it's more of a satire.
yeah, like busting your balls kind of way, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's not
Yeah.
just it's not an insult per se.
Yeah.
There's a great song on an album from last year by a band called Fontaines DC, who was from Dublin, and they have a song on there called Starburster. They also use a kind of a breathing thing too. So it's just one of those funny things. Like the hook is I don't even know the words to it. It's like it's one of those things that sticks in my head, even though I don't know the words to it. That's how I know it's good. I'm on
Mhm.
your business if it's momentary blizzard. And he goes like makes that kind of gasping sound at the end of each line. And
Mhm.
so it's just I really think I don't know if you want to do an episode on that album. That album is called Romance by a band called Fontaines DC. I think we should do one on it at some point, maybe not next necessarily, but that's one of the ones that's in my top 5 of the non-hip hop albums from last year, and it's the one that I think that you would like the best
Okay.
of those. Um, so, guys, if you have not checked out Fontaines DC's album Romance from last year, is pretty cool. It pulls from this is a huge sidebar from Doechii. Sorry, I know you guys did not tune in to hear me talking about this shit, but like, it pulls from like 90s Brit pop. You hear Oasis and Blur um and all that kind of stuff in there. So that's again not the point of this episode. We're here to shout out Doechii, who is I think the text that I sent you early this week was, let's talk about this. And you're like, yeah, I really like this album. I'm like, yeah, I was surprised. Like, I wasn't like, I know I've heard people whose opinions I trust say good things about it. So I sort of had the expectation that could be pretty good. But like, we talked about this last week too. Like, you and I both have a pretty high bar of,
Mhm.
oh, this is good. And that, it it crossed over this week too for me from I appreciate this to I'm gonna be checking for the
Mhm.
next one.
No, I mean, some of this commentary that I'm giving about her, you might not hear me say for the rest of this year about any other artist. She's pretty special.
Yeah, she's something
Yeah.
else. So if you have not checked in with Doechii, Alligator Bites Don't Heal, that one, excuse me, Alligator Bites Never Heal. That was rap album of the year last year, and deservedly so, I think. Certainly respectfully of the group that was in. That were nominated. It's certainly, I think, the deserving winner of that. No disrespect to the other nominees, but um, yeah, it's a great record. The new singles, ExtraL and Anxiety, are also killer too. So
Yeah.
she's on a heater.
Oh, she's having a nice little run right now. Let's see what she does with it. I'm excited about what she has next.
Yeah, man. So I guess this has been another episode of Mirror Music. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. We'll see y'all next time. Take care, y'all.